Good day folks, Drizzy158 here with the follow-up to my unboxing of the MAINGEAR VYBE RTX 3060 Ti gaming PC. So to get started, I picked up a few bits for Prime Day, including the Razer Goliathus Extended Chroma, essentially a giant RGB mouse mat. I also got a Razer Black Widow V3 mechanical keyboard, a Silverstone Permafrost 240W AIO liquid cooler, and to go with it, I also got some Thermal Grizzly Cryonaut as well as some additional RAM. So, let's dive right in. First up, we'll start with the RAM as it's the easiest thing to upgrade. This is an additional 16GB kit of the HyperX Fury 3600MHz RGB RAM that came with the PC, and as such I should have no compatibility issues and probably shouldn't even have to go into the BIOS to adjust anything. You might notice I'm working a bit one-handed, and that's because my videographer couldn't make it today. So unfortunately I won't be able to go into the detail that I'd have liked to, but it should be pretty easy to catch the drift from the clips I've managed to put together, so please just bear with me a little bit for this one. And that's that, so let's get on to the AIO. And here's the documentation. First up, we've got the manual for the RGB controller, but as I mentioned in the last video, the system comes with its own, so we won't be needing this. We've also got the manual for the AIO itself, also won't really be needing this. And finally, the warranty information, and it just so happened I did end up needing this, but we'll get into that a little bit later. And here we've got the components. These provided fans are the Silverstone Airblazer 120RW. They are pulse width modulated, adjustable RGB, and they also have Hydra bearings, so they should last pretty long. Next up, we've got the AIO itself, consisting of the radiator, the tubing, and the water block. And as the name all-in-one implies, it essentially comes ready to go out of the box and is pre-filled with coolant. So in terms of preparation, all you really have to do is mount the provided fans to the radiator using the screws. And you can do this in either a push or pull configuration depending on how you'd like to mount the AIO in your case. And additionally, depending on which socket your motherboard uses, you may also have to change out the one on the water block for another one of the provided ones. And in my case, as I'm using the AMD AM4 socket, I did have to change mine. So before we can move any further, we've got to remove the stock cooler. This just consists of 4 screws, and pro tip, before attempting to remove it, you should always warm up the CPU as the thermal paste can adhere to your CPU, and if you're not careful you can actually pull it out of the socket. After a quick clean with some rub and alcohol, we're ready to move on to the next step. And this step consists of mounting the radiator to the top of the case. I prefer this orientation as it exhausts the hot air out of the top, and as we all know, hot air rises, so it just makes sense to me. After many runs through the house looking for these stock AM4 mounting brackets, we are pretty much ready to go, except for a few things. First up, a lot of people tend to forget to remove the plastic from the bottom of the water block and then end up with all sorts of crazy overheating issues. Don't be one of those guys, make sure to remove it. Additionally, as I mentioned, we've got the Thermal Grizzly Cryonaut. This is one of the most well-reviewed thermal pastes on the market. So here we go. And I figured I would give the spatula a try because I mean it came in the bag after all, but I honestly do not like or recommend this method, and off camera I did end up just doing the old school method of putting a pea-sized amount in the middle of the processor and using the heatsink or water block in my case to squish it down and get a nice even spread of the thermal paste. So if you look up here closely, you can see the header for the pump, and on the other side we've also got the header for the fans. Now this powers both of the fans using a splitter, and let's just peel off this protective plastic to reveal the awesome snowflake logo. And that should be it for now. So let's move on to the daunting task of tidying up this mess. And just before I do that, let's take a really quick look at the RGB controller, as I neglected to do so in the last video. This here is the switch I was referring to, which switches between MSI Mystic Light and the remote control I was provided. And in case you forgot what it looks like, this is it right here. But I honestly pretty much leave it in Mystic Light mode at all times, as I can then use Razer Synapse to sync up everything. And here we have it, a little bit neatened up. I'm honestly still not extremely satisfied with it, so I may go back in and tidy it up a little bit later. Essentially, all of the black wires would be the stock wire routing from MAINGEAR, and the white would be my additions. So let's move on to the unboxing of the keyboard. And as I had said before, this is the Razer Black Widow V3 with the green switches. These switches are pretty comparable to the Cherry MX Blues and are marketed as tactile and clicky, which from the few test clicks we can confirm is fairly accurate. We've also got some documentation here. This would be the thank you note from Razer, as well as some customer support info. And additionally, there is the user manual, which I'll take a look at a little bit later. But the moment we've all been waiting for, here is the system powered on, and you'll notice first off that the fan to the left is wobbling very violently. And after contacting Silverstone and then being put back onto Amazon where I bought it, I did receive a replacement, but it honestly did not solve the problem and went bad in a couple of days as well. So I may find myself opening up all of the fans to lubricate them, and if that doesn't work, I may spring for some Corsair LLs or some Cooler Master fans. And I think that just about sums up everything I want to cover in this video, so thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Do leave a like and comment. I tried to respond to all of them. And of course, if you'd like to see more of my content, hit that subscribe button. Once again, thanks a lot, guys, and till next time, take care.